Welcome to Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. Stay informed with quick, easy-to-listen summaries of our latest articles, perfect for when you're on the go. No reading required. Subscribe for free at mercola.com for the latest health insights.
Hello, and welcome to Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. I'm Ethan Foster, and joining me today is Alara Sky. We're here to deliver straightforward, evidence-based insight on how natural health strategies can strengthen your body at the cellular level. In today's episode, we're taking a close look at osteoporosis and the powerful role that fermented dairy and probiotics play in managing and even reversing this condition.
Thanks, Ethan. Osteoporosis affects an estimated 10 million people in the U.S. It's a silent condition, often going undetected until a fracture occurs. Characterized by porous, brittle bones, it can lead to loss of mobility, independence, and quality of life. But today's focus is on how fermented dairy, especially kefir, may shift the trajectory of this disease.
Let's start with the basics. Alara, how exactly does fermented dairy impact bone health?
Fermented dairy works on several levels. First, it provides probiotics that regulate the activity of two types of bone cells: osteoblasts, which build bone, and osteoclasts, which break bone down. Maintaining the balance between these two is critical. Probiotics help tilt that balance toward bone building, which is key in preventing and managing osteoporosis.
There's a study that really highlights this. It was published in Food Science of Animal Resources. Researchers observed how fermented dairy changes the bone remodeling process, which continues throughout life. They found it improves bone mineral density, bone mineral content, and overall bone strength.
That's right. It's not just about increasing bone density. The study also showed improvements in the function of important metabolic markers like osteocalcin and IGFI. These two compounds promote the activity of osteoblasts, the bone builders, while reducing inflammatory markers that activate osteoclasts.
Let's talk about those inflammatory markers. We're looking at interleukin-17 and tumor necrosis factor alpha, both known to accelerate bone loss. Probiotics found in fermented dairy reduce these compounds, slowing the breakdown of bone tissue.
Additionally, the immune system plays a role. Probiotics like lactobacillus and bifidobacterium help shift immune responses away from inflammation and toward repair. That's a key reason why kefir is so effective. It creates a microenvironment that favors healing.
There's also the role of short-chain fatty acids, specifically butyrate, which is produced by probiotics in the gut. What's the connection to bone health there?
Butyrate reinforces the gut barrier and reduces systemic inflammation, which is an overlooked cause of bone loss. It also directly inhibits osteoclast activity and stimulates pathways that enhance osteoblast performance. So in effect, it reduces bone degradation and promotes new bone formation simultaneously.
That dual mechanism is significant. Another important hormone involved is parathyroid hormone, or PTH. Normally, when blood calcium levels drop, PTH pulls calcium from bones to compensate. But fermented dairy, rich in bioavailable calcium, reduces the need for this.
Exactly. With fermented dairy, the body doesn't need to rob the bones to stabilize calcium levels. The study found that this reduced bone resorption markers like CTX, a clear sign that less bone is being broken down.
Gene expression also changes. Two key genes, RUNX2 and BMP2, were upregulated in response to probiotic intake. These genes initiate bone growth and remodeling. That's not a minor shift. It means fermented dairy activates the very blueprint your body uses to build stronger bones.
Building on that, another study published in PLOS1 tested kefir's effects on people already diagnosed with osteoporosis. The researchers found that after 6 months of kefir use, there was a measurable increase in hip bone density, specifically a 5.5% gain.
That's notable because the hip is one of the most fracture-prone areas in aging adults. What's even more compelling is how quickly the benefits showed up. Bone breakdown markers dropped within the first month and continued declining by the third.
It's important to point out that kefir wasn't just slowing damage, it was reversing it. Osteocalcin, the marker for bone formation, began increasing after kefir intake, and that happened even in individuals who started with declining levels.
The study also showed a contrast in PTH levels. In the kefir group, PTH levels rose, signaling the body to remodel and rebuild bone. In the control group, PTH dropped, indicating reduced bone activity overall.
Kefir peptides also deserve attention. These peptides result from the fermentation process and help improve calcium absorption. They interact with the gut and immune system in ways that allow more calcium to be directed into the bones.
Let's not overlook oxidative stress. People with osteoporosis often experience chronic inflammation and oxidative damage. Probiotics in kefir help lower those cytokines, which supports bone preservation and healing, a benefit that conventional treatments often miss.
In summary, kefir doesn't just sit in the gut and pass through. It alters gene expression, modulates immune responses, strengthens the gut lining, and influences hormone regulation. This makes it a powerful tool in restoring skeletal integrity.
Fermented dairy also contains C15-0, pentadecanoic acid. It's an odd-chain saturated fat, and it's starting to gain recognition for its systemic benefits, including for bone health.
C15-0 has been linked to improved metabolic health, mitochondrial repair, reduced glucose and cholesterol levels, and even diabetes prevention. These benefits go beyond bones. They impact the entire body at the cellular level.
One meta-analysis across 33 studies showed that higher levels of C15-0 correlated with a lower risk of type 2 diabetes. That matters because metabolic dysfunction contributes to inflammation, which can worsen bone loss.
C15-0 also plays a role in mitochondrial function. It helps repair energy-producing cells and reduces oxidative stress. In animal studies, supplementation with C15-0 reduced inflammation and improved several metabolic markers.
Let's shift now to action steps. For listeners who want to start supporting their bone health today, what practical strategies do you recommend?
Start with fermented dairy, kefir, or full-fat yogurt from grass-fed sources. If you tolerate dairy, this is a simple, effective way to support your bones. The benefits can begin to appear within the first few months.
For those who don't tolerate dairy, high-quality probiotic supplements are a strong alternative. Look for strains like Lactobacillus reuteri, L. casei, or Bifidobacterium longum. These are all backed by research for bone health.
It's also essential to feed your gut bacteria. Probiotics thrive on prebiotics. Start with whole foods like ripe fruits, root vegetables, and naturally fermented foods. This helps your gut flora shift toward a healthier balance.
Sunlight exposure is another pillar. Vitamin D synthesis is crucial for calcium absorption and immune regulation. Aim for 15 to 30 minutes of midday sun exposure, but adjust if your diet is high in linoleic acid to avoid skin damage.
And of course, exercise. Physical activity stimulates osteocytes and improves bone mineral density. Walking 10,000 steps a day and 40 to 60 minutes of resistance training per week provides the mechanical stimulus needed for bone growth.
Before we close, let's recap what we've covered. Osteoporosis is a serious but manageable condition. Fermented dairy like kefir offers a multi-layered approach to improving bone health, from enhancing gene expression to regulating inflammation.
Alongside this, C15-0 and the probiotics in kefir support broader metabolic and mitochondrial function. When integrated into a lifestyle that includes whole foods, sunlight, and movement, these tools create a powerful framework for reversing bone loss.
That wraps today's episode of Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. I'm Ethan Foster with Elara Sky. Thanks for listening. Be well, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe now and click the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.